Welcome to episode 165 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. As you can see, it's only me here today, Troy, as Josh is on a well-deserved family vacation. However, don't fear, Gongshow listeners and viewers. Josh should be back on our next episode, unless, like he said previously, he gets attacked by a shark, which we hopefully doesn't happen. That would be sad. But I was thinking about it a little more. If he does get attacked by a shark, if you're watching on YouTube, let's hope it's this guy, Jabberjaw. Because, if Jabberjaw attacked him, he'd feel bad. Invite him to his rock concert, and all would be right. I apologize. I had to throw Jabberjaw in there. The more Josh talked about getting attacked by a shark, the more I needed to put Jabberjaw in here. So that's why we get Jabberjaw. I'm sure Josh will have lots of fun stories. Good time had by all, or at least we hope. But we will find out next show when Josh returns. Before I begin, I want to remind everyone that the Hockey Cards Gongshow is a Patreon podcast. We rely on support from our listeners and viewers to help cover expenses, continue to produce more and better hockey card content, and help us fund initiatives to grow the hockey card hobby. You can join our Patreon by going to the Patreon website and searching for Hockey Cards Gongshow, or you can go to our Hockey Cards Gongshow website and selecting the Become a Patreon link at the top of the page. You can join for as little as $5 a month, and joining gives you access to our Gongshow Discord server, where we actually have a ton of great discussion around the hockey card hobby. And just a note, if you have joined our Patreon and are not in the Discord, please message us. Best way is probably on Instagram. Send us a note, let us know, because we want to make sure everyone that has joined the Patreon is in the Discord, because it's a good time, and the more people we have in there, the better. We'd like to welcome one new Patreon and member since last time. He's a member, or he or she is a member of the Out of 199 Club, KMM. Thank you, KMM, for your support. We greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get to the game plan. On today's show, I begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 64, as we skipped that one last episode. Next, I will look at the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 65. Then it's off to a quick hobby news segment. Then I'm going to try out a new segment I'm calling Fun Facts with Troy. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what everyone thinks. And I end the show with some of my favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC weekly auction, along with any personal pickups. All right, it is time to get this show on the road. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so we are now looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 64 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is this guy on the screen. If you're looking, Jamie McGinn. That's who we got. This is where Josh would say, I don't know who that is. I've never heard of him, but that's who we got, Jamie McGinn. There were no other runners up at number 64 in the article. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 64 and former Wild player was Mikael Granlund. Now, before we begin, I got to make some kind of thoughts here about Jamie McGinn. So he's the runner-up in the article, and so by default, he's the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 64. However, he only wore number 64 for 4 seasons at the start of his career. So it's kind of odd, but I'm sticking to the bit and the article, so we're going to look at him. But as I started thinking more, 64 was really popping in my head, and I did a little digging, and I almost forgot about this, but kind of an interesting fun fact is Nail Yakupov, former first overall pick in the 2012 draft and widely regarded as one of the biggest draft busts of all time, also wore number 64 for 4 seasons in the NHL. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was wondering why that number was kind of jumping to me, and that's probably why. All right, but let's look at Jamie McGinn. He's a forward from Fergus, Ontario, Canada. McGinn was the 36th overall selection in the 2006 NHL entry draft by the San Jose Sharks. McGinn played in 617 regular season NHL games, over an 11-season NHL career. McGinn started his career with 3.5 seasons with the San Jose Sharks. He then had stints with Colorado, Buffalo, Anaheim, and Arizona before ending his career with a couple of seasons with the Florida Panthers. So McGinn was definitely well-traveled around the league. For his awards and accomplishments, I know I say this a lot, but we know where this is going. No NHL individual awards or team accomplishments. For his career, McGinn had 117 goals, 103 assists for 220 points. McGinn made the playoffs in 4 of his 11 NHL seasons, compiling 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points in 36 NHL playoff games played. Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2015-16 season, where McGinn had 22 goals, 17 assists for 39 points in 84 games played with the Buffalo Sabres and Anaheim Ducks. So during the season, McGinn was traded from Buffalo to Anaheim, which allowed him to sneak in a couple extra regular season games due to how the schedule worked out. And that is why he played 84 regular season games during that season. Not a lot about McGinn. He's missed some significant playing time during his NHL career due to a recurrent back injury, which persisted during his NHL career. And that's a lot of McGinn's stuff was just a lot about his back injury and kind of just how well-traveled he was around the league. I think this is actually more exciting to me. After retiring from the NHL, McGinn, along with his father and 2 brothers, became part owners of the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs of the Southern Professional Hockey League. If you're watching on YouTube, we show a nice family portrait. I think this is Jamie McGinn here. They got the sweet jerseys. I wonder if we have any listeners that are fans of the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs, but I love the name, love the jersey, love the logo. Reach out to us. Let us know how they are, but it's pretty cool to see him and his family owning a professional hockey team. For fun and interesting facts, we don't have much. Nickname, Ginner, I guess. We'll go with that, or Ginner probably. Other interesting fact, Jamie McGinn is the oldest of 3 brothers to play in the NHL. His siblings, Ty and Brock, would also go on to play in the NHL. So not a lot of fun facts or interesting facts, but that's what it is. Looking at his rookie card, and if you're watching on YouTube, there's a picture of it. 2008. Upper Deck Young Guns, number 490. PSA 10 pop of 2 with a 100% gem rate. So there you go. 2 submitted. They both gemmed. Awesome job. This card now, I was like looking up sales. I'm like, no way I'm going to find this thing. Oh, of course, it's sold on April 11th, 2023 via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $29.99 US. So one was out there and it sold. Obviously, you can find raw copies. They're going to be super cheap. But that is number 64, Jamie McGinn. All right. Since we skipped 64 last week, so now we got to do 65 after we've done 64. So the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 65, per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me is this guy, if you're watching on YouTube. Ron Hainsey. And I remember Ron Hainsey. I remember a story about him, and it comes up in this, but Ron Hainsey, I remember him being around for a long time and holding a record, and then I was kind of reminded of it, or I knew I had something right on that, and I'll mention it as we get going. The other runner-up at number 65 was Andrew Shaw, who definitely had a pretty decent NHL career and also had a couple of cups to his name. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 65 was Erik Karlsson. So our boy, Ron Hainsey, he's a defenseman from Bolton, Connecticut. Hainsey was the 13th overall selection in the 2000 entry draft by the Montreal Canadiens. Hainsey played in 1,132 regular season NHL games over a 17-season NHL career. Now, I've heard of Ron Hainsey. I didn't realize it was that long of a career, but it makes sense when we get to one of his records that he holds. Hainsey started his career with 2 seasons in Montreal. He then played 3 seasons with the Columbus Blue Jackets. This was followed by 5 seasons with our favorite Atlanta Thrashers / Winnipeg Jets, Next, he spent 3.5 seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes before finishing his career with stints with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Ottawa Senators. For his awards and accomplishments, we have a one-time Stanley Cup winner with Pittsburgh in 2017. Hold the phone on that one. We will be circling back on that cup win. For his career, Hainsey had 59 goals, 252 assists for 311 points. Hainsey made the playoffs in only 3 of his 17 NHL seasons, compiling 2 goals, 8 assists for 10 points in 39 NHL playoff games played. Now, I could have put this in fun facts. I can't even remember if I did put in fun facts, but a little fact about this playoff run for Hainsey. Actually, we're going to hold that. This is the other fact I was thinking of. Hainsey began his NHL career when he was 21 years old during the 2002-03 season. He would not make the playoffs until the 2016-17 NHL season when he was 35 years old with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We will get to a fun fact on that, but I saw that, and it's just crazy how long this guy was in the league before he actually made the playoffs. But it's pretty cool that he actually did get there. Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2008-09 season, where Hainsey had 6 goals, 33 assists for 39 points in 81 games played with our favorite Atlanta Thrashers. Hainsey was known as a solid two-way defenseman, really honed his skills before coming to the NHL with the United States National Team Development Program and then with the University of Massachusetts Lowell. Hainsey continued to be a steady defensive force with an offensive touch for most of his NHL career. He also was one of the NHL's best shot blockers during his career. And this is one of those guys where after he retired, he kind of became a big deal. So I'm showing a picture on YouTube. So after retiring, Hainsey became the assistant to the executive director for special projects and development initiatives for the NHLPA. Dear NHLPA, please make that title shorter. That is ridiculous. Let's just say he started working at the NHLPA. Now, having him get a job at the NHLPA actually makes sense because Hainsey would, during his career, be a key member of the Players Committee for the NHLPA and worked on negotiating during the 2012-13 NHL lockout, and also served as an NHLPA player representative on the competition committee, along with other NHLPA player roles during his career. So this is a guy during his career, he was the NHLPA rep for his team. He was on committees, being involved in the league, which is actually pretty smart from, hey, what am I going to do with my career after I've done playing? This is one option. If you don't want to go into coaching, or maybe you don't want to go into management of NHL teams, you go into the other side, the NHLPA. Hainsey has since been promoted to assistant executive director of the NHLPA. And if you look now and you see articles come about the NHLPA, he's actually quoted a lot. He's involved in a lot of things that are going on with the NHLPA. So pretty cool to see how his career as a player for 17 years, and now he's going on and being in the NHLPA. For fun, interesting facts for our boy, his nickname is Haynes. Makes sense. Now, circling back to what I wanted to say before, and how old Hainsey was before making his first NHL playoffs. He, in fact, and I'm pretty sure this is true, holds the NHL record for most regular season games played before playing in an NHL playoff game. That's pretty crazy. So he holds record for most games before playing in an NHL playoff game. However, we know we've had this guy on, Jeff Skinner, currently in his 14th NHL season, has played in 982 regular season games, but never made the NHL playoffs. So I guess once Jeff Skinner makes the playoffs, if he ever does, he will now then hold the record of longest streak before playing an NHL game. And it's funny that I saw this about Jeff Skinner because I think Jeremy Roenick just came out with a quote saying the reason Jeff Skinner teams don't make the playoffs, I think, is because Jeff Skinner's selfish. I didn't read it all, but it was just really interesting that popped up right when I was looking at him. All right. And our last fun fact, and this one is very cool. I apologize. I gave it away earlier when I accidentally put a wrong picture up. But when the Pittsburgh Penguins won the Stanley Cup during the 2017 NHL playoffs, Hainsey was the first person that Captain Sidney Crosby gave the Stanley Cup to. That is very cool. Very well deserved. Again, 17-year career, but it took him forever to make the playoffs. Finally makes it. They win the cup, and Crosby gives them the Stanley Cup. That is really cool. That's a really cool story. And it's more stories like this. Sid's kind of growing on me. The more I think about Sid, I know I don't like him because he scored the golden goal. I think it was 2010 Winter Olympics when Canada beat the U.S. So I've kind of had that grudge. But the more you research Sid, and he's kind of quiet, he's not in the media a lot, but the more you read about him, seems like a decent dude. So pretty cool story. All right, for Hainsey, for his rookie card. Oh boy. 2002 Upper Deck, number 240 Young Guns. These are the Young Guns that are just fantastic. I think this is the Rick Nash year one too, if I remember right. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but these are just something else. It's like the photo shoots or I can't think of it. Like the high school yearbook pictures is what they remind me. But if you're watching on YouTube, you see it. It's a 2002 Young Guns, number 240. PSA 10 pop. It's got a gem rate of 67%. I didn't write down the PSA 10 pop. I don't think it's that much, but it's like, I want to say 15, maybe something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I forgot to write it down. However, this card did sell January 16th, 2024, PSA 10 condition via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $83.75 US. So actually, I know what I was trying to write. The PSA 10 pop is 10, I believe. That's what I was trying to say, and I confused myself. So there we go. It's 10, sold for $83.75, which kind of makes sense. And definitely a great career. Really cool to learn about Hainsey and kind of what he's doing now. So that's what we got for number 64 and 65 of the almost greatest NHL players. Hobby news. All right, I did it. That was my best Josh hobby news impression. I hope you liked it. I hope I didn't blow out your eardrums doing that, but that's what I did. So for hobby news, boy, here's a big story, huh? 1979 OPC sealed case sale. Oh boy. So when I was looking at hobby news, I got a couple stories, but I'm trying to keep it short, but this one might go a little bit longer. But the big news, as we saw, the sealed case of 1979-80 OPC hockey sold on February 24th of 2024 for an all-in price of $3.72 million. Holy cow, that's a lot of money for a cardboard box. And we talked about this case. Josh did a bunch of analysis on it. And at the end of the day, what I really remember is that we just came to the conclusion that it will be one of the most valuable brown cardboard boxes ever. I think we were right. It is crazy how much this went for. And when we looked at it previously, the percentages say that there should be 24 to 27 Gretzky rookies in this fantastic brown cardboard box. Now, who knows if the buyer opens the box? Will any of them be at PSA 10? If they open the case, they start open boxes. Will any of these cards come out in a PSA 10 condition? Very, very doubtful. As Josh kind of mentioned, and this was on episode 157, if anyone wants to go listen to it again, the odds of pulling a PSA 10 condition card are almost non-existent. So many of these cards have significant centering issues, registration problems, and other print imperfections like fish eyes that even, we'll air quote it, pack fresh cards are almost impossible to expect a perfect card. And doing a little more research, and then Josh chimed in actually from his vacation. He threw some stuff in here. So these are from Josh. Fun facts from Josh, we're going to call it. This is the most paid publicly for any case or box of wax of trading cards of any kind. So what does that tell me? Kind of tells me Gretzky's still king. That is a pretty crazy fact. And then doing a little more research, Josh found that per the Card Ladder sales history, it's the second highest sale ever in the hockey hobby. the 1979 OPC Wayne Gretzky PSA 10 that sold in May of 2021 in a verified private sale sold for 30,000 USD or US dollars more. So this our favorite cardboard box, brown cardboard box, is the second highest sale ever in the hockey hobby. Pretty fascinating. The sale price is also tied with this card. If you're watching on YouTube, the 1909 T206 Honus Wagner PSA 1.5 that sold for the same $3.72 million US in October of 2022. Now, when you first get into sports cards, if you ever look at baseball, this card comes up all the time. The Honus Wagner, the T206. It's pretty crazy that the sealed case sold for that same price. Now, a little more. With 16 boxes in the case, the average paid per box is $232,500 US dollars. The highest public sale of a 1979 OPC single sealed box was $198,000 US dollars on January 2023. So it sets this huge amount, sets the box record basically if you want to average out the box prices in the case. But it is pretty crazy how much this thing went for. Shows that, we did an Instagram post on it, Josh did, and there's a lot of feedback. Some people think, well, they're throw it in the closet. Some people are rip it. Some people are like way overpaid. Some people think it's an investment. If you saw our Instagram post, please chime in because it's a great discussion. At the end of the day, it's a lot of money. I just want to see a live stream of someone opening every box in this case, even though I'm probably going to say the smarter move is probably throw the thing in a closet and let it appreciate in value. But man, what a live stream that would be to just watch someone rip this thing, rip all the boxes and see how many Gretzkys they get and what condition they are in. I also say congratulations to the seller, to the buyer. Great job on this one, I guess, for the seller. And the story, if you didn't know about it, of the seller finding the case randomly in their house with a bunch of other boxes is pretty crazy. I think he was an avid collector, but just kind of forgot you had this. That's pretty nuts. So go read up on the story. It's really interesting. So that's our first hobby news story. The second one, this is another crazy one. And I guess it's the legend of Matt Rempe. I think I'm saying his name right. We are all in Matt Rempe's world, and we are just living in it because talk about making an impact in a short amount of time. 6'7", 240-pound, 21-year-old Matt Rempe of the New York Rangers made his debut on February 18th, 2024. More on that in a bit. He's played in a total of 5 NHL games as the time I'm doing the research on him. In those 5 games, he has 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points with a whopping 32 minutes of penalties and a paltry time on ice average of 4 minutes per game. That is just craziness. And we know why he's getting all the media attention. It's the 32 penalty minutes is what it's about. So of those 32 penalty minutes, he's managed to get into 3 fights so far and had a complete slugfest with the Flyers' Nicolas Deslauriers. It is just crazy. And I want to kind of look at his start a little bit more. We'll break it down a little bit more. So Matt Rempe makes his debut at the Stadium Series game, which, fun fact, makes him the first player in NHL history to debut in an outdoor game. It boggles my mind how there's always some new NHL first NHL history thing. And this is the first time a player has made his NHL debut in an outdoor game. Pretty crazy. During his debut, he gets into a fight with the Islanders' Matt Martin on his first shift. Just awesome. Let him know you're there. Then on Thursday, February 22nd, in his 3rd NHL game against New Jersey, he manages to play 13 seconds before getting ejected after a hit on Nathan, I think it's Bastian, I'll go with. And while getting ejected, holds up his hands to his ears to say, "I can't hear you," to the Devils fans who are raining boos down on him. This guy's just becoming, I think, everyone's favorite. Then we have this thing. This is where a lot of the news came out. big showdown against Philly on February 24th. Rempe takes on Nicolas Delorier. Rempe hits the ice for his first shift, and now it's fight night in Philly. Now, I watched the fight, and I can't get over. I think it was ESPN. So the ESPN broadcast for the Philly, or if it was the Phillies PA system, I think it was ESPN. But once they dropped it, they started ringing a bell on the broadcast like a boxing match, and then they put up a tail of the tape. So I'm guessing it was ESPN that did that, but that was fantastic. And then the fight, and both landed punches, haymakers, uppercuts. It was really, it was a really good fight. Lasted about 50 seconds. And John Tortorella summed it up perfectly. He just said, that's a good old-fashioned hockey fight. And he's dead on. Love Torts. Love he gives it to us straight. Now we keep going. Add another fight in his fifth game against Columbus on February 25th. This fight came at 2 minutes and 10 seconds into the first period, setting the tone right off the bat. Rempe in this fight did look like he took a beating against the guy from Columbus. I apologize. I didn't write down the person's name from Columbus, but that one he got I think he got beat up a little bit. But it's absolutely crazy what this guy's done in his first 5 games and all the media hype and everything going around him. So just wanted to bring that up. It's been pretty crazy 5 games. Now let's think about cards for Rempe. So if you're looking for Matt Rempe cards, well, there's not a lot out there. He does have, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to bring it up, and I got to zoom out a little because it's zoomed really in. So he's got what they're called Booster Club Seattle Thunderbird cards. I don't know how, if these are available online. I'm assuming they can get them on eBay. But these are kind of, a one shoot or an offshoot. I think there's 2 years of these Booster Club Seattle Thunderbird cards that you can find of him. But he also has a Tops Now sticker, which I'm showing on screen. And it commemorates him being the first NHL player to make his NHL debut in an outdoor game. So they do have a Tops Now sticker of this card. And those go on eBay. They sell for around $3 to $5. So you can definitely get one. So very exciting news. The media attention has been crazy. Now, I have thought about this too, and I try not to be a hypocrite on this stuff. But with all that we've seen, the fighting, how young he is, how big he is, it's an exciting start. But being a Wild fan, we always have in the back of our heads Derek Boogaard. We loved Boogaard in Minnesota. We loved how he was all ready to throw down. He was an awesome player, an awesome dude, like the nicest guy off the ice. But you hear all the struggles Boogaard went through as an enforcer and being expected to fight all the time. And you just worry sometimes about these guys. He's getting a lot of media attention. He's only 5 games in. Lots of fights. I know these guys are adults. They can make their own decisions. But the more we learn about guys getting punched in the face and how that affects the brain, the more I just get a little bit worried about players like this. And we've actually seen these enforcer guys kind of go away, and they're not around as much as they used to be. Not every team has the big bad enforcer that can go out and throw punches, but it's just something to watch. Again, they're adults. They make their own decisions. It has been very exciting. And like I just said, I'm one watching the fights and commenting on them. So it's just one of those things that NHL hockey, and we have to deal with it. Very, very exciting though. All right, let's move on. Before we keep progressing, I just want to make a quick mention for Slab Sharks. Slab Sharks is a Gong Show partner and sponsor. We are very thankful for their support of our show. The current weekly Slab Shark auction ends tonight, and there's some absolute bangers in this week's weekly auction. I went out and looked. I just found 5 really quick ones. And boy, talk about big cards. Let's just go through these 5 really quick. There's a 2006 Upper Deck the Cup Wayne Gretzky limited logos patch auto out of 50. I know if Josh was on here, he'd be drooling right now talking about this card, but we love limited logos. Love Gretzky. Now it's in a Kings jersey, and it's got the Wayne auto on the side here, but absolutely gorgeous looking card. Probably good. Go for a good chunk of change. Another card out there, 2020 Upper Deck the Cup, Alex Ovechkin Black Shield 101. It's in a BGS 6.5 slab. At the end of the day, with these thicker cards, shields, that BGS 6.5 doesn't really matter to me, at least. We'll see how it ends. You can see the corner grade is the one holding it down with the 6. And it's not a complete Gong show if we don't mention our boy, Connor Bedard. So in the current Slab Sharks auction, there's a 2023 Metal Universe Connor Bedard Platinum Portraits Rookie Metallic Blue PSA 10. Josh absolutely loves Platinum Portraits. I like them, but I'm not the biggest fan of them. But they are really cool how they drill the little holes in them. And they're kind of, I don't know what you want to call that, die cut, but they are really cool. Good. They go for a lot of money. This one will go for a good chunk of change. Fourth card, 2019 Exquisite Collection Jack Hughes Rookie Patch Auto out of 86, BGS 9 with an auto of 10. Great looking card. Love Jack Hughes. Nice 1, 2, 3 color patch. Now Josh goes nuts, but I always like when a string's hanging off. But this looks pretty clean there. But just no, that one's out in Slab Sharks auction. And then the final card I saw, always like black labels. 2016 Upper Deck Austin Matthews Young Guns Rookie Canvas BGS 10 black label. I'm really starting to like I like canvas cards, Young Gun Canvas. I just like it's a different picture. They're usually more playful, funner. This is a nice card. Obviously, BGS 10 black label. Looks great. So Austin Matthews fans, or I guess me, because Toronto's my Canadian team, I should go out and bid on this. But be sure to check out slabsharks.com for a link to the auction and see all the cards and place your bids. If you are a Canadian hockey cards collector, investor, or flipper, we think you should consider Slab Sharks eBay consignment services. Why, you may ask? They save you a ton of time and hassle. Basically, just send them your cards, drop them off at the many trade shows they are set up at, and they will basically do the rest for you. It's really nice. They take nice, professional, high-quality photos, list your cards for you. Your cards get included in their incredibly popular and growing weekly eBay auctions. Go look how many hockey cards are in this weekly Slab Sharks auction. There's a ton. Then they save you time and hassle by handling any potential buyer questions. They hunt down payment for your auctions, and they help and they do the shipping of the cards. And most importantly, remember the Slab Shark handles any post-sales issue. We know we hate dealing with issues on eBay. Why not let Slab Shark do it for you? They even insure for lost packages, which is fantastic. And remember that Slab Sharks is offering a 98% payout on all Connor Bedard cards until June 1st of 2024. For more information about Slab Sharks eBay consignment services, including payout rates, and to get started consigning your cards with them today, please visit slabsharks.com. Okay, it is new segment time. And what better way to do a new segment when Josh is gone? So that way he can't stop me. But it's a new segment. I'm calling it Fun Facts with Troy. And now, in all fairness, Josh was actually supportive of the idea, and I thought I would try it out. I don't know if this will become a regular segment or maybe something we do every once in a while. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And kind of the impetus for this segment was we see a lot of cool, crazy stats from the NHL. And I thought it'd be interesting to take a quick look at some of these. And that would give us a way to look at maybe some players' cards that we don't always mention. Now, some of these will probably be from names we talk about all the time, your McDavids, Crosby's, etc. If we keep running this segment. But I just wanted to find another way to get cool facts, cool stuff people want to know, but maybe give us a chance to talk about some other players and some other cards that we don't. Obviously, any feedback is welcome. Please let us know if you like the segment, don't like the segment, indifferent about it. Just let us know. Give us feedback. You can message us. You can put a comment on this show when it goes public on YouTube or Instagram on the post. Just let us know. Let us know what you think. And I will say most of these fun facts, we're going to call them, come from the NHL PR Instagram, which is actually a really, really awesome resource for fun facts and interesting facts. I'm going to make these really quick for this segment. We're going to kind of go over the fun fact, maybe say a little stat line about the player, and then look at their maybe rookie card, their young guns. And then we'll just kind of move on, but just give people an idea of what I'm thinking, how I want to do this. But again, all feedback is welcome. And you won't hurt my feelings, but let us know what you think. It will be interesting to see. So let's start. Let's start with the first one. So here we go. All right. Josh Morrissey. If you look on my screen on YouTube, if you're watching, we got a Josh Morrissey fun fact. So Josh Morrissey has 10 assists since February 20th, making him the third player in Jets/Thrashers history with multiple assists in 4 straight games. He joins Mark Savard and Blake Wheeler in this record for the Jets/Thrashers. Now, I thought this one was interesting just because it's Josh Morrissey. Yes, it's a Winnipeg/Atlanta specific fun fact. And so these can be kind of massaged. Sometimes you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But it's an interesting fun fact to me. So I thought we'd look at it a little bit and look at Josh Morrissey. And we never bring him up. So it was kind of nice to see this one. So on the season, Josh Morrissey, 7 goals, 37 assists for 44 points in 56 games played. Yes, he is our prototypical assist machine. We got these guys. The hobby doesn't care about them. They want goals. They don't like assists. So we'll see. If you look at his Young Guns, Morrissey is a 2016 Young Guns. PSA 10 pop of his card is 122 with a gem rate of 52%. Now, this is where we know this is going. Last sale of this card was for $51 on February 20th of this year via eBay and verified in Therapy. So quick one to start. Josh Morrissey. We don't talk about him. We don't talk about Winnipeg that much, but pretty cool to see. He's doing really well. Doing well this year, being an assist machine. So it's nice to see. So let's move on to our second fun fact. And again, this is where I say some of these guys, I try to find ones that we don't talk about them a lot, but I couldn't let this one slide. And it's one of our guys we talk about a fair amount on our show. And to me, it's absolutely crazy. But as of February 27th of 2024, Cale Makar now has the most goals with 78 and points by a defenseman with 308 in Avalanche history. Plus, he is 2 assists shy of the franchise record for that as well. That to me is absolutely nuts, as this is only his 5th NHL season. Very, very cool accomplishment. And when I saw that record, I was like, well, they specifically say Avalanche history. So I was wondering if it also included Quebec. I tried to do some digging. I think it might for the defenseman in Quebec. I couldn't find anyone with more points, but I could have totally missed it. They say Avalanche history, so let's go with Avalanche history. But again, very cool accomplishment for Makar, especially it's only his 5th NHL season, and he holds the record now for goals, points, and soon to be assists in franchise history by a defenseman. Very cool. Makar is putting on he's actually having a really good season this year. He's 13 goals, 48 assists for 61 points, which is putting on pace around his career high of 86 points. So it's nice to see the points coming. I know I don't want to say he had maybe a down year last year, but he's doing great. He's a great defenseman. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Maybe he's not pumping out 30 goals, but I think he's playing very well this year. Makar is a 2019 Young Guns. PSA 10 pop is 2,462 with a gem rate of 64%. Recent sales have been in the around 400 to 470 US dollar range, give or take. But interesting to see. And again, this stat, I just had to put it out there because it's so, for the short time he's played with Colorado as a defenseman to already hold some franchise records is pretty amazing. Okay, next fun fact. And this one I had to put in because when is the last time you saw a stat on how far a player skated during a game? And the more I read this one, it probably falls into that category of, okay, that's interesting, but what do I really make of it? So Rasmus Dahlin now holds the record for longest distance skated in a game this season in the NHL. His distance skated was 4.91 miles on February 25th in an overtime game versus Carolina. Again, not sure what this means. Does it mean he's inefficient in his routes? Is he skating all over the place when he doesn't have to? Does it mean he's on the ice all the time as a defenseman? Again, being an overtime game, you're going to get more distance, obviously. It's just a very curious stat To me, this is something where maybe it would be better as a rate metric, like distance skated per 60. But still, then I'm not exactly sure what to make about it. And again, this is from the NHL or PR Instagram account, but they're using that NHL Edge site. So if you Google that, it's NHL Edge is like the NHL's new analytics kind of platform. They're trying to get more in-depth analytics stats to the public. And this is one way they're doing it with that NHL Edge. It's a very good step. It's still pretty basic, but hopefully they keep adding more and more advanced analytics that the public can use, maybe get API access for IT geeks out there. But again, just a very interesting stat that I had to kind of look at and wrap my head around. 4.91 miles skated. So on the season, Dahlin has 14 goals, 29 assists for 43 points in 57 games played. He's behind his career high of 73 points that he had last season, but still pretty good numbers for a defenseman. And again, Buffalo has not had the greatest season. I don't know how they've been doing recently, the past week or so, but we know they definitely had some struggles early on in the year. Our boy Rasmus Dahlin is a 2018 Young Guns. PSA 10 pop is 1,467, gem rate of 67%. Card sells pretty frequently in the 60 to 75 US dollar range. All right. And finally, our last kind of fun fact, interesting fact with Troy. If you look at YouTube, you can see the picture. It's everyone's favorite defenseman, Nikita Kucherov. Just kidding. I know he's not a D-man. It's a long time inside Gong Show joke. So I guess if you know, you know. But I should say he is our favorite. Doesn't give a rip about the NHL skills competition. It's still probably my highlight of the season with him out there during I can't remember if it's the passing or the stick handling, and he's just going through the motions. Doesn't want to be there. Seems like he's just out for a ginger stroll. It's just gingerly stroll. It's hilarious. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. But we do have some fun facts for Nikita Kucherov, and these are some where they're kind of massaged by the NHL. You'll see this sometimes in these NHL PR reports, especially when the Bedard ones come out, because they're always kind of massaged around putting Bedard into some franchise record for the Blackhawks. It's really interesting to see how they kind of massage these. But again, this is all centered around Kucherov, as he was the first player to reach 100 points this NHL season. And let's take a look at they kind of announced a lot of these. So here we go. Kucherov is tied for third with Ovi and Draisaitl for most career 100-point seasons by active NHL players with 4. Crosby and McDavid lead this category with 6 apiece. So if you're looking on YouTube, you can see the little blurb. But yes, Nikita Kucherov is tied for third with 4 NHL seasons of 100 or more points. I forget how good this guy really is. He is a fantastic player. We know we talked about him before, and we kind of said, Hobby doesn't seem to care what's going on, but he is a fantastic player. If we look at the next one, Kucherov took 59 games to reach 100 points this season, which since 1992-93 is the 10th fewest games needed to reach 100 points. His 59 games was also the fewest games in Lightning history to reach 100 points. Again, another massaged one because they did since 92-93. I'm sure if they did the 80s, that Wayne Gretzky takes the top 10 spots or takes a bunch of them. But I get what they're doing, but it's interesting to see 10th all-time or 10th fewest games needed to reach 100 points, which is really cool. 59 games. And then our final little stat here. In NHL history, Kucherov is tied for 7th all-time with the most instances as the NHL's first 100-point scorer in a season with 2. So not an excitingly high number. It's 2. It makes him 7th all-time. So he's been the first player with 100 or more points. Pretty cool stat. But again, it's kind of one of those, that's interesting. But it speaks to Kucherov and how good he is. 400-point seasons. Fantastic player. And this year he's been a beast. He has 38 goals, 64 assists for 102 points in 59 games played. Currently, he is on pace to have a career best 142 points. Again, fantastic player that the hobby just seems to sleep on, or there's something about him they don't like. So we'll look at his Young Guns here. He's a 2013 Young Guns, PSA 10 pop, 442. So pretty low. Gem rate of 60%. Recent sales in February have been between 400 US to 575 US dollars. Kind of bounces around that range. And if you look back in October and November, though, there were a good amount of sales of this card in the mid to upper 300 US dollars. So the card's seen a pretty nice bump. But again, for a guy that's probably going to have his 4th season of 100 points, he's a fantastic player, low pop, 442 Young Guns. Just seems like the hobby doesn't appreciate him maybe as much as they should, or they don't like him, or whatever. It's pretty crazy. But hey, if you like Kucherov, you can get his Young Guns pretty cheap, low pop. So it's really, really cool to see Kucherov. And as long as you don't put him in the all-star games and make him do extra effort, I think he'll be fine. So that's kind of the segment. Just wanted to go over that real quick. Hope everyone likes the first instance of Fun Facts with Troy. Again, let us know what you think. There's a lot more I could do with this segment. I just wanted to get it out there, do it pretty quick. Again, feedback is always welcome. Good, bad, and different. Let us know. Message us. Leave a comment on the YouTube video, and we'll see what we do. Maybe it sticks around. Maybe we just do it once in a while, or maybe I find better facts if you didn't like the facts. That's always an option too. But again, let us know. Okay, I think we're almost wrapping up. As I said, it'll be a shorter show this week. We won't go the 2-hour marathon, but final segment, we got to look at PWCC, the weekly auction. We got to do our favorite hockey cards, or actually, this is Troy's favorite hockey cards. So the PWCC is a Gongshow partner and sponsor. We are very grateful for their support. Current weekly auction is number 111. There are currently 226 hockey cards live. I have combed through all of them, selected 2 vintage and 1 modern hockey card that piqued my interest. However, don't worry. Next PWCC weekly auction preview that we do on hockey cards, we will go back to the regular format of 3 vintage, 3 modern cards. But since I'm solo, I just decided to do 3 this time. We'll start with my vintage picks, and guess what? They're both goalies, and even my modern's a goalie. So I had to take a chance when I get it. I'm taking all the goalies. So first card I'm looking at, 1936 OPC Hockey Series D, Turk Broda, rookie, number 97, PSA 3.5. So here is why I love this hobby, and sometimes I do things, or something happens and brings a smile to my face. Very, very cool card. We don't look at a lot of 1936 OPCs. I know that for a fact. And it's a goalie. So I had to pick this. It was right up my alley. And I'm going to do the set, the card, and then look at Turk Broda. So it's kind of the usual thing I do on cards and sets I don't know a lot about. And, I kind of mentioned this is what makes me smile. This is what makes me smile. So when I research sets that I don't know anything about, first thing I do is I usually start with Bobby Burrell's fantastic book. It's called Vintage Hockey Collector. I grab the book, and if you're watching on YouTube, oops, I apologize. There we go. Watch on YouTube. There it is. You can see on the cover is Turk Broda. There's the card right there on the cover of the book. Fantastic. So that just made me smile a little bit. And when I did a double take when I saw it. I was like, whoa, what is that? But yeah, so there. The Turk Broda is on the cover of the Bobby Burrell book. So that's fantastic. So looking at Bobby Burrell's book, look at 1936 OPC. It's the V304D set, represented a dramatic design change for OPC hockey cards. The black and white die cut cards measure 2 3/8 inches by 3 inches and were fashioned to produce a stand-up effect. Cards in this set are hard to find in high grades. A mail-in premium hockey game was offered as a wrapper redemption for this set. A little more info on the set is that there is a white banner at the bottom, you can see on YouTube, with the player's name. Back features some vital stats. I'm going to zoom in here so YouTube viewers can see it. On the player, written in both English and French, And at the bottom of the back is a line that identifies the card series and number. There are 36 cards in the set, numbered 97 to 132, continuing the numbering scheme from OPC's previous sets. Key players include Howie Morentz, Eddie Shore, Turk Broda, and King Clancy. All right, so let's look at the card. Card is graded a 3.5, looks in pretty good shape. Corners definitely have some roundedness. If you zoom in on them, like I'm doing on YouTube right now, you can see a little bit of wear there, some kind of threading or flaking of the cardboard coming off. Down on the bottom right, you can see a little chipping of that corner. So there definitely some corner issues. There is some miscoloring. If you look at the top here, on the top center, the miscoloring on the top center, and then you kind of see it there on top of his head, but it's not on his head. It's just to the top of it. And then you kind of scroll down at the bottom and in the center, there's it's you can see it, but it doesn't really distract from the actual card, from the picture on the card, which I like. And again, given the nature of this card, they're always tough grades to get really high. The back, again, looks really nice. There's maybe a mark on the, we call it the left-hand side above the die cut. You can see, and maybe some kind of marking on the top left. But yeah, text is clear, easily readable, which is nice. And given how tough these cards are to get in high grade, I actually don't mind the overall condition. And look at this card. Plus, it's 1936 Turk Broda. It's a fantastic card. So a little bit info on Turk Broda. Full name is Walter Edward Broda. He's from Brandon, Manitoba. Broda acquired the nickname Turkey Leg during his school days because of his freckles. Turkey Leg got shortened to Turk, and that was how he got his nickname. So Turk Broda from Turkey Leg. He's a Hall of Famer, 5-time Cup winner, 2-time Vezina winner, 2-time NHL first All-Star team selection, 1-time NHL second All-Star team selection, number 1 jersey retired by the Maple Leafs, and has a statue on Legends Row in Maple Leaf Square. Named one of the top 100 players in NHL history by NHL.com in 2017. He has 302 wins, 224 losses, 101 ties. The goals against average of 2.53 in 629 career games played. Spent his entire 14-season NHL career with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Broda took a brief pause from his NHL playing career from 1943 to 46 to fight in World War II. He was the first goalie to reach 300 wins. And a little weird fact, I think this was called the Battle of the Bulge for him, but Broda was ordered by Maple Leafs owner Conn Smythe to lose 10 pounds in a week or be removed as the team's goalie. Broda was able to lose the weight. That's it's just weird that lose 10 pounds or you're not in net anymore. I guess it worked. But again, card is graded as a PSA 3.5, which has a pop of 1. There are 50 total graded copies of this card at PSA, with 28 graded higher. I couldn't find a PSA 3.5 sale or 3.5 sale, but I did find a PSA 4 sale that sold at Heritage on November 16th of 2023 for $4,560 US. Current bid of this card is $1,100 US. So it's probably going to go for a nice chunk of change. But again, very, very cool card. My second vintage card. Showing it on screen. It's a 1955 Parkhurst Bill Durnan rookie, number 63, PSA 8. Another goalie card. I'm doing this one because, again, I didn't know anything about Bill Durnan, and I should have, but I didn't. And figured, well, another great vintage card to do, plus it's a Parkhurst. However, I'm not going to go over Parkhurst. We did a masterclass with Jeremy Lee on episode 51 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast, where we go over the whole 1951 to 63 Parkhurst run. If you want to find out more information, check out that episode. Lots of good info in there. So again, let's look at this card. This card looks really, really nice. Card's graded a PSA 8. Love the picture. Great color. Fantastic color in this card. Great representation of an old school goalie. Corner and edges look very nice. There is a fisheye on the upper left shoulder. I'm going to zoom in here for our YouTubers. You can see right there, little fisheye. And there's some slight chipping on the bottom, these red borders at the bottom of the card where his name and everything is. You can see kind of some wear on the corner there, but on the right-hand side, there's definitely some chipping where that red border is kind of going away. But again, card itself, just the player image is fantastic. It looks really, really nice. Those minor issues of the chipping on the red, that doesn't bother me that much. And just the overall look of this card, I just love how this thing looks. Back of the card is a whole nother story, man. It's got a lot going on. If you're watching on YouTube, it's got one of my favorite things ever. I love the cartoons. I love the fun facts they put in here sometimes. This one was about the longest overtime Stanley Cup game. It's also got little, short stats, little bio in French and English. But I love the back of cards when they have cartoons and bios and all that fun stuff. But yeah, great looking card. Love the front of it. Love how this thing looks. Very, very nice card. And a little about Bill Durnan, Hall of Famer, 2-time Cup winner, 6-time Vezina winner, 6-time NHL All-Star Team selection, first All-Star Team selection, 3-time NHL All-Star Game participant, named to the 100 greatest NHL players of all time by the NHL.com in 2017. For his career, 208 wins, 112 losses, 62 ties for 2.36 goals against average in 383 games played. Played his entire 7-season career with Montreal. Yes, I said played 7 seasons and won the Vezina 6 times. That's pretty good. Also, he didn't make his NHL debut until he was 28 years old. And he basically retired due to stress from playing hockey. He just didn't like it anymore. He was getting nervous, anxious, just didn't like it and retired. Also, another cool fact, he has his own NHL rule named after him, the Durnan rule, which was put in place to not allow goalies to perform captain duties on the ice. Goalies can still be captains, but they cannot do any of the on-ice responsibilities. They can't talk to refs. And this rule was put in place as Durnan was captain. He would often leave the crease to go argue calls. And teams were saying he was giving his own team an unscheduled timeout because he's probably a smart guy, realized if his team's tired, hey, I'm just going to go argue something as I'm a captain and I got my on-ice duties that I can do, and then his team gets a rest. So now in the NHL, I think a goalie can still be a captain in name, but they can't go argue calls, go out to the ref when they're, the refs are at the score table. The captain has to stay outside that little circle. They can't go out there and argue anymore. And finally, Durnan was ambidextrous and wore special gloves that permitted him to catch with either hand while still holding his stick. If you look at this card, you can see his open glove on the card. I'm going to scroll in for our YouTube viewers, and you can see in his glove, you can see the fingers, and that allowed him to hold his stick in that hand if he wanted to. Both those gloves have those finger, I don't know what you want to call them, spots for his fingers to go. And so he can hold the stick or catch the puck. So he could switch hands. And there's actually a lot of stories about him when players would come down, he would switch hands, switch his stick to whichever allowed him the best coverage of the net. And it's just fantastic. I wish there was a goalie I wonder what they would make now for that. That'd be crazy. But I love that little fun fact about him. Again, card is a PSA 8. Has a pop of 19 with only 3 graded higher. Last sale of a PSA 8 copy of this card was on December 17th, 2023 via PWCC. It was a different card for $2,250 US. Current bid is, when I did the research, was $105 US. So that seems cheap. I'm guessing it will go up. But again, another very, very cool goalie with the cool little history and fun facts about him. Okay. Now my current card, and I did a really current one, 2021. Upper Deck Canvas, Young Guns, Jeremy Swayman rookie, PSA 10. And again, my modern card's another goalie. Got to do my goalies. But I'm doing this card just because I love the picture. I love how this card looks. And I wanted to try find something. Those previous 2 cards are going to be a little spendy. So I wanted to try to find something that was a little more, we'll call it the Troy price range. So that's why I showed this one. Again, I love the look of this card. The picture selection Upper Deck uses for a lot of the Young Guns canvas cards are fantastic, and this one's no exception. Picture's great. I also love seeing the huge knob Swayman has on his stick. I didn't realize he had that big of a knob. I don't know if he still does, but it's just interesting to see that. Some goalies like huge knobs because it helps with their grip when they shoot the puck or pass it. Some like it because when the stick falls on the ice, it actually props it up a little bit, easier to pick up. But really, really cool to see. I just love this picture, the image. You can see the focus and all that stuff. Colors on the card are really nice. I like the layout of the card. It has a lot of text, but it actually doesn't distract from the picture, which is kind of hard to do sometimes. But a lot of text. But again, the picture is the main focus, and it looks great. Just a really, really good looking card. It's a PSA 10. Zoom in. It looks good. Corners, edges, everything looks nice. And just a great card that probably can get fairly reasonable, we'll call it. Not cheap, but reasonable. And Swayman is just having another great season with the Bruins. Currently has 18 wins, 6 losses, 8 overtime losses with a 2.49 goals against average and a .920 save percentage in 33 games played. Shared the net this season again with Linus Ullmark. Swayman has the better stat line this season and has played 3 more games than Ullmark. But Boston just has a great thing going with these guys. They have 2 number 1 goalies. They rotate them. They can keep the load management, try to maybe play them even games, but it's a really good system they got going now. We'll see if they can keep it, what happens when one of their contracts comes up, because a lot of goalies, if they want to be the number 1 guy, but if, hey, these 2 guys are fine being co-number 1s and they make playoffs and make cup runs, I think they'll be happy with that. For his career, Swayman has 72 wins, 29 losses, 15 overtime losses with a 2.31 goals against average and a .92 save percentage in 121 games played. PSA 10 pop of this card is 420 with a gem rate of 79%. Sales of this card seem to bounce all over the place from $44 to $84. So that's kind of the range. It's one of those cards bounces all over the place. Sells pretty a little bit regularly, but that's where it's at. Current bid right now, $23. All right. Personal pickup time. So I did kind of buy something. I got a box of OPC paper, but I was able to get it at the good price. Now I think it's up. I think it was $150 at David Adams last time I looked. So it just keeps going up and up and up. And I think I got this one for $100 from our local card shop, but then they raised it to match everything up. Didn't get anything fantastic. I was kind of looking through. I got a Brock Faber, just a marquee rookie. I might have got, I don't know, a Wayne Simmons trophy card, the Mark Messier trophy. So goes for about $8, but nothing else really that exciting. No Bedards, so didn't get my box cost back, but that was kind of my box pickup. But then, and I apologize because I didn't ask. I always want to ask these listeners, but I had a listener reach out and he wanted to send me something. And again, please, you don't have to send us anything. Listening to our show is all we need. Just listen to our show, watch our show. And if you feel compelled, you can join the Patreon if that's what you want to do. But he wanted to send me a card and he sent me this and I am actually blown away. I'll try to get it up on camera. It's a National Colors Pekka Rinne auto, says Republic of Finland from 21-22 the Cup. And it is a fantastic looking card. I love the silver auto. It is awesome. Thank you so much to who sent this. I apologize for not asking to say your name, but I really, really appreciate it. And this card goes right with my Pekka Rinne collection in my case and displayed for all to see. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot that you chose to send that to me. And again, remember, you don't have to send us anything. We like doing the show and hope you enjoy it and listening. So that basically puts a wrap on episode 165, or the Troy solo experience, I guess we're calling it. Josh will be back on Monday so we can see if he did in fact get attacked by any sharks. Hopefully not, but we will see. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you use. If you love the show and want to support us and chat with us on our Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 monthly donation and join our out of $199 support level tier on Patreon. The link is in our show description. We are on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. And the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. We will see everyone back on Monday. Have a great weekend.